Welcome to Vendor Day for the Inland Empire. We have our first presenter here, Georgia Gray, and she'll be talking about Portico. And I'm going to let you go, Georgia.
All right, thanks for inviting us. We're excited to talk to everybody. I am Georgia. I am from Trajecsys. We are a Portico brand, and I'm actually the manager of nursing programs at Trajecsys Clinical Record Keeping. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story before I got started here, and just to show why I'm so passionate about the work I do. So I'm actually a former radiography educator. And over the years, I've served as a clinical preceptor, a clinical faculty member, and eventually both as a clinical and program director. So I've really experienced clinical education from multiple perspectives. So in 2015, my program adopted Trajecsys, and I was able to really see those impacts firsthand. So before Trajecsys, much of my time in my job was spent managing paper. So I was grading forms in the evenings, scanning and filing documents during the day, tracking down missing paperwork, and sometimes I even questioned the integrity of the paperwork that I was receiving. So like many educators, I found myself spending more time managing documentation than supporting my students. So then Trajecsys. So my onboarding process with Trajecsys was simple, efficient. I always had someone I could reach out to for support. Our paper forms, skills checkoffs, and procedure competencies were transformed into a digital system that was easy to use and accessible from anywhere. So for the first time, I was getting back my day. It's getting hours back in my day. Instead of completing paperwork at night when I should have been with my family, I was completing evaluations right on my phone or tablet while my students were performing their skills. I also gained access to real-time data. It allowed me to make informed decisions, to review things that were happening in my program, make decisions about scheduling, clinical rotations, and even lab development. It truly changed how I managed my program, and that experience ultimately is why I joined Trajecsys today. So now I have the opportunity to support educators and share the same benefits that I experienced in my own program. And while it may sound almost too good to be true, I can honestly say I've lived it and I've seen the difference it makes. Okay, so Trajecsys is a comprehensive online clinical tracking and reporting system used by thousands of allied health and nursing programs nationwide. So our platform is designed to simplify documentation, both for you, your students, your administrators, from clinical evaluations and time tracking to case logs, skills and competencies, and even site communication. And we take all of that and put it in one centralized paperless system. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the student benefits. So with your students, Trajecsys certainly helps the faculty, but it also improves the student experience just as much. So one of the biggest benefits we see is accountability and visibility into progress. So with your students, they're going to log their clinical and lab activity daily. This helps them stay engaged, take ownership of their learning. Instead of trying to remember what they completed weeks later, everything is documented in real time. As they move through the program, students can clearly see where they stand. They're able to track their progress toward required competencies, understand what experiences they still need, and that transparency often reduces anxiety in your students because expectations are clear. They know exactly what they've accomplished and what comes next. It also creates a more manageable and meaningful conversation between your faculty and your students. Rather than guessing how your student is doing, you can both look at the same data and focus on growth and improvement. And one of my favorite features, especially as a program director, is that students get to graduate with a downloadable portfolio. This includes their clinical experiences, their skills, their competencies, giving them something tangible that they can bring into interviews or share with future employers. And then ultimately, it helps the students become more organized, more accountable, and more confident as they transition into practice. So now let's talk about what this looks like for faculty and clinical partners, because this is often where we see the most benefits day to day. So one of the most meaningful challenges or changes that we see is more time is spent with the students and less time on paperwork. So faculty and preceptors are able to complete evaluations and documentation in real time, right from a phone, a tablet, or even a computer, instead of saving stacks of papers to finish later at night. And because Trajecsys is fully cloud-based, there are no IT installations or ongoing technical requirements for your institution or your clinical sites. Clinical instructors can log in securely from anywhere, which makes adoption much easier for busy partners who don't want another complicated system to learn. The platform also supports digital signatures, which helps ensure compliance and removes the uncertainty that often comes with paper documentation. So no missing signatures, no lost or incomplete forms, clear verification of who completed each evaluation. And just as important, Trajecsys creates that professional standardized clinical documentation workflow. Everyone, faculty, students, and clinical partners, all working within the same structured process, improving consistency, improving communication, and overall program organization. Ultimately, it'll allow your educators and clinical staff to focus less on all those papers, and they can focus more on that mentoring and supporting the students in the clinical environment. Now, when it comes to the institution, Trajecsys helps create stronger communication across all of your parties. Because everyone's working in the same system, again, expectations are clear, documentation is centralized, information is no longer living in emails, spreadsheets, or filing cabinets. That shared visibility helps reduce confusion, keeps everyone aligned. You can also gain significant efficiency through reporting and data-driven decision-making. Instead of manually compiling information for meetings, accreditation, or program reviews, leaders can quickly generate reports that provide real insight into student performance, clinical utilization, and program outcomes. Another major advantage is visibility across cohorts. Even after graduation, programs can track trends over time, identify areas for improvement, and maintain historical records that are easily accessible when needed. And finally, many schools find this actually strengthens relationships with their clinical affiliates. Clinical partners appreciate that streamlined workflow, clear expectations, and reduced paperwork, which makes collaboration smoother and helps reinforce those long-term partnerships. So at the institutional level, it's really about moving from reactive management to proactive leadership, using data and organization to support continuous improvement. Okay, now let's talk about accreditation support, because this is often one of the biggest pressure points that our programs are seeing. So Trajecsys provides clear proof of documentation for all the program oversight required by your Board of Nursing, by your accreditation organizations, and it centralizes all of that data in one place. So your skills and competency tracking, your time and attendance, your clinical hours are all captured within the system. So instead of pulling information from multiple locations, programs have a single source of reliable information, make it easier to demonstrate compliance and oversight whenever they show up. And then Trajecsys also allows you to manage accreditation standards and supporting evidence directly within the platform with our patented SPE, or Systematic Plan for Accreditation Tracker. So this program can organize your standards digitally, attach evidence as it's created, and capture those critical events throughout the year rather than scrambling during your accreditation season. So many schools are able to replace those spreadsheets, those shared folders, with structured reporting and centralized documentation. Real-time alerts will help ensure nothing is missed, and when review time comes, you have board-ready reporting already prepared. You'll also have access to a full audit trail at your fingertips, showing all changes, edits, and updates to each of your standards. Another major advantage is the ability to consolidate accreditation program outcome data. The system provides alerts when deficiencies or gaps appear, allowing programs to address issues early instead of discovering them during a review. Evidence can be exported quickly for those BON or accreditation visits, and you maintain a complete historical record of every tracked standard. Programs can track both quantitative and qualitative data and generate exportable reports whenever they're needed. And finally, Trajecsys helps keep all of your stakeholders aligned and accountable. So automatic notifications remind users when reviews or updates are approaching, responsibilities can be assigned by role, and evidence can be uploaded in seconds. So this distributes the workload across the team, instead of placing the burden on one person right before a site visit. So ultimately, accreditation becomes an ongoing, manageable process, not a last-minute scramble. So instead of preparing accreditation every few years, programs are essentially always prepared. I also want to highlight a couple of our partnerships. So we do have a partnership with OADN, the Organization for Associate Degree Nursing. And for those who may not be familiar, OADN is a national voice for ADN programs. They provide advocacy, professional development, and resources that help programs thrive, from faculty and leadership training to networking and accreditation guidance. Trajecsys is proud to be OADN's preferred and trusted clinical management solution. That means programs know we meet high standards for usability, compliance, and support. And because of this partnership, OADN members are eligible for a program discount, making it easier to adopt a solution that truly streamlines clinical tracking and accreditation. Another very important partnership I want to highlight today is with Cisive PreCheck, which many programs rely on for student immunizations and background checks, giving faculty and administrators a real-time view of each student's compliance. This eliminates the need for manual tracking or chasing down paperwork, reducing administrative work and the risk of missed requirements, which is so critical in clinical education. By integrating directly with a trusted compliance provider, Trajecsys ensures that students are ready for clinical placements and programs maintain consistent, auditable compliance records, all on one platform. Another thing that is very important to Trajecsys is the privacy and security of your data. So this is critical in healthcare and education, and we take it to the utmost priority. So we are proud to be the only clinical management platform certified with TextRAMP, which represents a high standard of data security and compliance. This certification means your students and programs' data is protected according to the most rigorous requirements, giving administrators that peace of mind. With Trajecsys, you don't have to worry about whether sensitive student records or clinical documentation are safe. It's built into the system from the ground up. This certification also demonstrates our commitment to industry-leading security standards, ensuring programs can confidently rely on Trajecsys for both compliance and protection. Also, I just wanted to highlight briefly that Trajecsys is not just for nursing. So if we have anybody else from the other allied health disciplines, we actually support over 70 different healthcare disciplines, such as rad tech, respiratory therapy, surge tech, sonography, imaging sciences, so many different modalities that we serve. And this just shows how flexible and adaptable that platform is for all your different clinical and lab workflows, whether their program is highly specialized or covers multiple healthcare areas. It also gives programs confidence that the system can scale with your needs. We can support interdisciplinary learning and integrate with a variety of clinical partners. Ultimately, it shows that Trajecsys has the experience, knowledge, and infrastructure to support programs of any size or specialty. All right, so thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I'd love the opportunity to connect with anyone who is interested in learning more. My contact information is here on the screen. You can reach me at Georgia, it's just my first name, Georgia, at Trajecsys.com.